Many big cities in Canada have been passing big property tax hikes, and that's causing big concerns for local ratepayers. Take a look at these numbers that are happening right across the country, and you'll see that in Toronto, they have proposed a property tax increase in the neighborhood of over 10%. In Calgary, 7.8%. Montreal's coming in on the low end of this collection of cities at 5%, which of course is still higher than a lot of people are seeing their paychecks going up by. So we're seeing this big problem happening across the country. Are there alternatives? Are there things that City Hall could do to tighten its belt instead of simply raising your taxes? Take a look at some of these ideas. A couple of years ago, secondstreet.org, the think tank I work for, we looked at all the free parking passes that City Hall is giving out to its employees. They will tell you that we're in the middle of a climate crisis and that everyone should stop driving cars and start taking transit more often. And yet you'll see that cities have been handing out over thousands of parking passes free to their employees. You'll see there Toronto, well over 1,000. Calgary, well over 1,000 free parking passes. Victoria's coming in at the low end, but what's interesting there is that that city is handing out parking passes to politicians as far as the eye can see. It's quite incredible. Another example would be you look at some of the pensions that some city employees are receiving. In a lot of workplaces outside of government, most people don't have a workplace pension, but yet at a number of cities, they're giving employees not just one, but two, in some cases three pensions. Take a look at this and you'll see that in Calgary, they spent over $10 million a couple of years ago on double and triple pension costs for their employees. Edmonton, another big leader in this, and a number of other cities are also spending thousands and thousands of dollars on double pensions for their employees. Third example that's kind of a fun one, but it's a silly one. If you look at the city of Toronto and you think about what the city governments in this country should be spending money on, you often think about things like fixing roads and policing. But what about poetry? This year, the city of Toronto will spend about $10,000 on a poet. Are these the type of things that City Hall should be scaling back spending on and rethinking in light of the huge property tax increases that they're imposing on Canadian taxpayers? Well, today we're going to be chatting about this whole issue further and looking at City Hall's finances a little bit more closely. To join me on this topic, I've got Franco Terrazzano. He's the Federal Director with the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, and Matthew Lau, who's a columnist with the Financial Post. Thank you both for joining me. Let's start off with the big picture question. Do you think that these tax increases that cities are passing, is there any justification? Is there something that maybe we're missing? Matt, I'll start off with you with this question.
Well, certainly not. And you showed right off the top Toronto at 10%. And one of the things that's on in Toronto and other cities may be familiar or very similar to this is Bill Robson from the C.D. Howe Institute put a great piece out on this where the city's finances aren't really planned in any real robust way. If you look at the budget document that has the 10% property tax increase in it, there's no comparison to the audited financial results for 2022 or to the estimated results for 2023. If you look for the anticipated results for 2024, they're not there either. So how did they, come up with the numbers? One of the ways is they just compared to prior year's budgets. But prior year's budgets are not actuals. And if you look at the actuals, Toronto has had surpluses of well over $1 billion for the last few years. So where did City Hall get this idea that they need to spend or to impose a 10% tax increase? And I think one of the things that is really playing into that, first is they need to get their spending priorities under control. And secondly, they just need a much better quality of financial planning. And they would, avoid, causing a big thing every year by saying we need more money and we need a 10% tax increase on the residents.
Franco, we got 20 seconds. Am I missing something? Is City Hall justified at all with these increases?
No, of course not. And remember, this isn't automatic. This is a choice. You have these big spending politicians in the cities who are choosing to give you a massive tax hike rather than choosing to do the hard work, the necessary work to actually go through their budgets line by line and cut this wasteful spending.
Okay, listen, when we come back, we're going to really dig into all kinds of examples of different things that maybe City Hall should be reconsidering. We'll be right back.